The pursuit of fulfillment. That is the topic. Fulfillment is hard to quantify, so are feelings. They're not something that can necessarily be measured by anything but your own perception, which makes it pretty hard to experience them to their fullest if you have any doubt in your own feelings or what you experience. And doubt is something rather that is natural to two kinds of people. It is natural to a person who has lived a life of dishonesty, who has either meaningfully or rather purposefully or not with intention lived a life or long enough in their life that they have not made it their goal to move through by trying to do as much good as they can, but not only by the action, but because that was their intent and it fulfilled them. So in not doing good and not doing good by your own intent, and because it fulfilled you, you have lived dishonestly, and doubt will be alongside that, as bad things tend to accompany other bad things. And doubt is insidious. It is heinous because everyone can change, but for this kind of person, doubt will be your biggest inhibitor because you've lived dishonestly. So even when you are motivated or called to pursue good or to do good, not only for yourself but to others, and to try to maximize that and do such by your intent, your instinct to, in the moment, whatever it may be, with a social situation, family, friends, that dishonesty will creep up in the moment. And when you have that moment, that instinct to do good, the doubts will come in, and you will find yourself questioning the motive. Why am I doing this? Am I doing this because I stand to gain something? Am I doing this because it would make me look better in their perception? All things are true. All of those things are true, by the way. We do good for others because it makes us feel good, so it does benefit us. Every action to do good does benefit us, but that does not make it any more malicious or is reason to keep that doubt accompanied beside your true intent. And for the second kind of person, it is a person who, the first person was a person who has lived long enough or decided to engage in dishonesty. And you can recognize that as bad, by the way, because it is instinctive. Our consciousness is called to experience, to explore, and it drives us to interact with others because we're social. And to be true would be the most fulfilling. So to be true to the self is the most fulfilling. And if you aren't naturally, you are able to, by your own determination and perception, recognize that what you've done or what you're doing is not something that you could be doing for the good. So it is instinctive in human nature. You will know. It is just a matter of, are you willing to be honest to your perception, to acknowledge I could be doing better, not only for myself but for others. The second kind of person is someone who simply has not had the guidance of peers or people surrounding them to give them an example of how to be actionable in that pursuit of fulfillment, and by doing so to achieve truth. It's sort of a loop, it feeds into itself. If you're true and honest to yourself and your intent, then your perception will not have the doubts and you will be more fulfilled. And I apologize for that, but as I said before I go further, it's instinctive that we can recognize something is bad or something is good. It's, however, dependent upon your wisdom and your experience through life to get perspective and to get understanding, to be able to then translate that into how to operate, to be kinetic in doing good, to be actionable. Because it's one thing to recognize when someone is being dishonest, but it is another to be able to engage with that person to bring the truth out of them. Because if you simply tell a person you're being a malicious, cruel individual and you're being dishonest and you're lying, it's more likely that they are going to become confrontational and defensive of the dishonesty and the lie. And if you have enough wisdom and experience, then you know how to navigate without creating the conflict. And I mentioned conflict specifically as a term because, again, fulfillment is achieved by honesty and truth of intent, which gives fulfillment of the self. And that includes doing good by others, even the people who aren't having the best intent. Because if you engage with the person who does not have the best intent and they are not fulfilled and they are dishonest, and then the only way that you can, not the only way, the easiest way that you can engage with that person and possibly get through to them, and it's a temptation, which is to stoop to their level. You are being dishonest with me, so I will be confrontational to you, and I will do bad to you because you've made me feel bad. But that is temptation, and maybe not in the moment you will see it, but upon reflection, you'll look upon that moment for what it is, a moment of confrontation. And our minds, our perceptions, our instinct to pursue truth and good will instinctively realize that was bad. How you pursue that harm or that bad inflicted is a different story. But again, it's instinctive to be able to recognize what is good and bad. Doubt. Every person in their life has free will, and everything is ultimately a choice. You can choose to do bad, you can choose to do good. It is just my personal belief that you will achieve more fulfillment and your consciousness will not be weighed down with the bad of the world if you decide to pursue fulfillment, and if you minimize engagement in doubts, dishonesty, and minimize harm that you not only inflict onto yourself but others, especially those close to you. we all have a choice, and we can stick to the choice. I respect people's choices, but I do believe that everyone, because of the natural instinct to be able to consciously detect whether something is bad or good, not only in what you see in others, but how you treat others and how you operate as yourself, how you govern your own actions. There will always be that instinctive judgment going on in the background, that determination. Is this bad? Is this good? That, and it's because of that that I believe that everyone also has the instinct, and you can choose not to acknowledge it, you can choose to diminish it, you can choose to actively act in opposition to it. But we all have the instinctive awareness that when we do bad, or when we are being bad, or anything really bad, there's a call for change. There's a call for a desire to look on the other side of the fence and say, there's good that could have been done there. So, change. It's instinctive, change for the better, specifically. And if you've been a dishonest, bad person, you're also capable of change. The soul is. We're not born predetermined. We're not born with our lives set out before us. Every moment is a choice, and thus the saying, the phrase, it's never too late to change. But the longer that you choose to stall that, the more difficult it is. But that's not a reason to fret. In my journey, I've been a bad person. I've been very dishonest to many people, but even worse than that, to myself. Because why I say myself over others, it's not because everyone's a bit of a narcissist. It's just how much of one are you. But I don't have an overinflated sense of self, not anymore anyway. It was worse for me as opposed to others, because by being dishonest to myself, I was ignoring in each moment the choice that existed, where I could have said, this is a moment where I can be honest, I can change, I can be true to the natural instinct to do good. And I didn't. Not for a long time. For years. And I hurt many people. And in the moment where I decided to acknowledge what I was doing, which is separate from the moment of when I decided to change, it was hard. It was difficult. I can't describe the burden on my consciousness that was ever present. And because it was ever present, it was at the conscious front, which gave me an opportunity to be able to process, to be able to decipher, and to be able to explore that instinct of, in each moment, I could have done better, I could have done good. And that made the instinct to change happen. That's why the moment of change was separate from the moment of acknowledgement. And then from the point of change came the most difficult part, which I'm still in, and I don't know what comes after this, but I'm exploring it, and although it's difficult, I can't describe the difficulty, I can't quantify it. It is certainly simultaneously a bigger burden than the acknowledgement and than the point where there was dishonesty of self and dishonesty towards others. Because now I'm doing actions, and it's actions I'm not used to, because previously, before the acknowledgement, I was doing actions that were dishonest and that were bad. So I became used to that. Now I'm doing actions of a different nature, which requires consistency, it requires practice, but more importantly, it requires the acknowledgement of not just the instinctive awareness, but the choice. Acknowledgement is a choice of, it required the acknowledgement of bad and good, and where I've been doing it and where I've not been doing it for each one. And now it's kinetic. So for the people that I harmed, I've admitted honesty. I have given them the truth so that the feelings around what I did with them when I was engaging with them dishonestly, they could now engage it in truth and know that it is truth. And that gives them a clear path towards overcoming it and leaving it behind without the doubt of, when I was engaging with this person, or when this person told me something, when they did this for me, was it honest? I gave them that. And it feels good. But the moments where it feels bad is where the doubt comes in. Because I was so used to making it my nature to do bad, that my intent and consciousness and my perception, it was entwined with dishonesty and bad intent. So now every time I untangle a vine, I ask myself, because there's so many vines and it's so entangled and there's a firm grip, and I can't see the clearance yet, although I know I've detached a lot of them. I ask myself, am I making enough progress? Is this going to matter? When will I see what I have enshrouded so deeply? And if you focus on that, the doubts will win. That's what I've learned. But fulfillment